What was banned at your school and why? Story 1. Blankets. It was the South and they kept the AC on too high because it was so freaking hot outside. Girls would wear shorts to be cool when outside, but they get too cold inside. Thus the blankets to keep their legs warm in class. Of course, blankets are opaque. And they were already being used to cover up legs. Well, if a girl started sharing a blanket with a guy, yeah, things could get a little handsy. Story 2. When I was in high school, we got permanent markers banned. Someone organized a game of assassins where everyone is given a target to kill, and if you're successful, you inherit their target. It was $1 to enter, and the winner gets the jackpot. We had around 150 students out of 600 in the school participating. The objective was to mark your target with the Sharpie on their skin, and they were then declared dead. This could only be done in the hallway or the cafeteria, not in class or off campus. Well, our vice principal decided she wanted to participate, saying that if she won the money, she'd use it to buy something for the school. Fair enough, we thought, so we let her in. Well, one of my friends ended up with her as a target, so in between classes one day, he sneaks up behind her and does his best Sam Fisher assassination attempt, grabbing her mouth and slashing her throat with the Sharpie. Well, that was just too much emotional stress for our poor VP. She took his Sharpie, had him serve ISS, and forced us to discontinue the game. No more Sharpies could be used by students or staff. And no one knows whatever became of the prize money either. We kept it in a jar in our principal's office so no one could take it. So we all hated our VP even more than we did before, +1 for the epic visual of your friend going rogue Splinter Cell. Honestly, that sounds really freaking fun, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that your friend took it a step too far. Feels like you were all in for a really exciting game of touch football and your friend went for a tackle. It is still school after all, so use some common effing sense. Story 3. Cooking class. Superintendent decided that, I quote verbatim, "Cooking is an impractical art. Today, everyone can just buy pre-made meals and no one has time to cook, or they could be smart and hire a personal chef." This person makes over $150,000 a year after taxes and is in charge of 3 schools in the district, totaling 3,000 students. By that logic, we should probably ban math, too. Everyone can just buy a calculator or be smart and hire someone else to do it for them. Dumb butt. Story 4. Too long didn't read. Stoners outsmart administration. Drug dogs. They started bringing in drug dogs in my sophomore year. They would smell the lockers in cars, and if one hit on your locker or car, you had to open them up and let the school search it. By my junior year, a group of stoners had enough of it. They took bong water and put it in a bunch of spray bottles and sprayed it on all the lockers and cars they could. My student had about 1,400 kids in it. It took one time of having 300 plus kids pulled out of class to have the lockers searched to make them rethink the policy. What really got the parents to force school to stop, though, was the cars. When the drug dogs hit on a spot, they kind of go nuts. Imagine 25 plus cars getting a hit and having dogs scratch the heck out of the paint for a search that found nothing. Many parents didn't push too hard, but some were demanding that the school pay for the damage. So, no more drug dogs. Story 5. Titty Twisters. A weird dude in my class got a lot of laughs by letting people give him titty twisters. Apparently, after repeated and increasingly hard titty twisters, the connective tissue behind his nipple broke. So this guy could literally stretch his nipples 5 to 6 inches off his chest. Obviously, being a teenager, and a weird one at that, he went around showing everyone and their mother his new ability. He got warned about it several times, and the final straw was when he was seen by the administration with an equally weird girl sucking his nipple 5 to 6 inches off his chest. They immediately banned titty twisters, but there was really no need. We were all pretty scarred by what we had seen from this kid. I hate this friggin' website so much. I can't even fully imagine what that would look like, but now my brain won't stop trying, and this is my life now. Story 6. Sack whacking. Guys would hit each other in the balls as a prank or whatever. Apparently, it was causing a big enough problem that the entire school had to attend an assembly where the deputy principal informed everyone. There has been a large outbreak of sack whacking. Entire school was laughing so hard, even the deputy, who was a really strict and uptight guy, started laughing his butt off. We were also banned from playing with large balls, basketballs, soccer balls, at the same assembly. That was also received very well. Story 7. Any liquid not in a clear plastic bottle. And then the only liquid we could have was water. The ban was because the girl in my grade got caught with vodka in a clear plastic bottle. Everyone in my school never understood the ban because vodka is clear like water, and the only reason the teacher even caught on to her was because another dumbbutt kid was joking around about alcohol, and the idiot with the vodka threw the bottle away in the garbage next to the teacher's desk. We weren't allowed to have water bottles at all, same reasoning. A teacher took mine once when he saw me filling it at a fountain, saying, "For all I know, you could have vodka in that," as I was filling it at the water fountain. Time-traveling me would go back and say, "I didn't realize vodka came out of this fountain," but at the time I was just too dumbfounded to be that clever. Story 8. Candy necklaces at my middle school. One day, a couple of my friends came into the playground before school started with a candy necklaces age, which immediately got everyone's attention. After we all demanded to know where they got them and how much they cost from the corner shop down the street at 10p as I recall, one or two others said they might go and get one for themselves before school started. That might go turned into them sprinting to the shop once one kid figured out how to weaponize them. Holding one piece of candy between their teeth, stretching forward the elastic band and biting down, it would catapult pieces of candy at whatever it was aimed at. That morning, a few kids bought a candy necklace each and played a game of firing bits at each other. The next morning, all 400 kids that attended that school were engaged in all-out necklace war. Every single one of us must have had at least one and our own technique for maximizing the firing rate. After doing our best recreation of trench warfare all morning and having the kind of fun that only comes with an entire playground full of kids all playing the same game, we were all ushered into the assembly hall to be told that candy necklaces were now banned. Nobody lost an eye, just in case you were wondering. We used to make hornets out of folded paper and rubber bands. Very similar in concept. They considered banning rubber bands because of this, then realized how stupid that would be. To be a kid again and play games with no regard for just how dangerous they can actually be. Well, to be a kid or a teenager or, half the adults I know. God, we are all pretty dumb, huh? Story 9. T-ball was banned for a long time because a kid hit the ball and threw the bat to the side so he could run the bases. It hit a pregnant teacher in the stomach and she had a miscarriage. Story 10. Cafeteria trays. The events that led to this started with a fight breaking out in the cafeteria where one person stabbed the other with a fork. The next day, metal forks had been banned and we were only given plastic forks to eat with. A couple of weeks later, another fight broke out in the cafeteria and a group of 3 students beat another student using the cafeteria trays. After that, we had styrofoam trays in the cafeteria. Story 11. Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, and Pokemon cards. Some of the kids at school started trading and selling them during lunchtime, but it got so bad as the kids were actually selling stolen cards they got from other students. My friend was swirlied one morning for his deck, and later that day he saw a kid with his Dark Magician card. He knew it was his because he had a tendency to chew the ends of his cards. The teacher put a stop to all of it, including playing the card games and bringing them on school grounds. I feel so bad for your friend because when I was around 10, some kids in the grade below me bashed me on the head and stole my Match Attacks completed album excluding 100 clubs. Then I chased them around the school and ended up side-tackling the guy who had my album and knocked him into a locker. The cards flew everywhere, and in the swarm of kids, I lost over half of my cards. Story 12. Buckets. They banned us from carrying backpacks between classes, so a couple guys started carrying around their textbooks in buckets. Administrators banning the symptoms, not the cause. Story 13. After someone put Halo Combat Evolved on the network drive and it started to rival Microsoft Word for most used software in the building, they had to ban that. Unfortunately, the person responsible for making the announcement had the computer literacy of a mountain goat, so the official rule was something like, "Don't be downloading Halo websites on the computers." At my school, someone did this and Halo Combat Evolved in the special education folder. Nobody checked it because my school's special education program is notorious for having no oversights whatsoever. I wish we could have done something like that back when I was in high school. Sadly, our school only had iMacs back when Macs were really and truly terrible and couldn't play any worthwhile games beyond the latest version of Oregon Trail. Story 14. Google. Our high school had some kind of contract with this really crappy school-appropriate search engine called NetTrekker. They banned using Google in school because it wasn't scholarly, and only NetTrekker was allowed. They tried extending this beyond the school. They wanted us to use only NetTrekker for internet searches outside school and sent home a pamphlet about internet rules outside the classroom. They said that students shouldn't have Android phones. I got a referral for having a Moto X smartphone. This was in 2015. Story 15. Shag bands. These plastic rubber bracelet things. Basically, if someone broke your shag band, you supposedly had to have physical intimacy with them. A natural law, according to some, but never, to my knowledge, ever enforced. The school got wind of it and became horrified that a bunch of 13-years would ever think something like this reasonable, and came down on us with an iron fist. I vividly remember one teacher scornfully say, "So-called shag bands," and then spit in disgust. It was hilarious. Story 16. Candy canes. Apparently, they were a safety hazard because you could suck on them and sharpen them to a point which could then theoretically be used to stab someone. Most of our school suspected that it was simply a way of getting the Ugly Christmas Sweater Club, a group of guys who wore ugly sweaters to school and roamed the hallways handing out candy canes while playing Christmas music, in trouble. It was by far the dumbest thing to ever happen at my high school. Yeah, can't have anything sharp and pointy in school. That's unthinkable. Now, please take out a pencil for this test. Story 17. Yo-yos. Kids turn them into flailing weapons. Some kid nearly lost an eye. Those were the days. Story 18. Two-way hallways. Sounds crazy, right? The principal and his staff thought that it'd be a smart idea to have one-way hallways in order to cut down student traffic. If your locker was right around the corner and you had to go against the traffic in order to get there, you had to walk all the way around. If you're past your class on your way to your locker, you had to make 2 circles around the building. This significantly increased tardiness and write-ups. Terrible idea. Teachers are supposed to be smart. How do you think up something so dumb? Story 19. Looney Tunes characters on your clothes. This was the 90s at a crappy school. In my town in the 90s, Looney Tunes shirts represented what gang you were in. Story 20. In middle school, they banned the jerseys of a Japanese baseball player on the Chicago Cubs. The vice principal believed that Fukudome was actually a joke, and he believed it said, "Frick you, do me." True story. Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. Story 21. Bionicles, because we would smash them together and whoever's helmet fell off first was the loser. So many bloody hands and grade 4. Story 22. My school would report you to the police if you were caught wearing Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life. Happened twice in the year. It was big. I have no idea why, but they just don't like it. Ah, the age of the internet, where there is just one constant, one truth that will always prevail, and that inevitability is Shrek. Story 23. Weren't allowed to dye our hair unnatural colors, banned hoop earrings, and running like Naruto because a guy did that and fell down the stairs and broke his arm. The infamous anime run. Story 24. Steel rulers. Some guy bashed the crap out of a bird with it. Story 25. The word buckle. I kid you not. Back in grade 7, a few kids in one class had his word on a spelling test and thought it would be funny to just shout it out randomly. The teachers, believing it to be a code word for something more sinister, decided to outright ban the word across the school. Needless to say, the faculty became the brunt of many jokes both from students and their parents. That reminds me of an episode of Recess where the school banned TJ from saying womps. Story 26. Short-selling stocks. Our class was the first to go through new mandatory financial literacy classes, and part of it was a stock market simulation. We began betting against the market when we set it up to crash specific stocks, and each time our money rose exponentially. We had to fill out paperwork for each trade, which ended up amounting to around 30 pages of trades. At this point, we had trillions. Our teacher was also very condescending about how great she was at the market, so when we bought huge percentages of her stocks and sold them pennies on the dollar to crash her stocks as well. After a while, she checked on everyone's progress and found we were trillionaires and went into a rage, even calling the company to see how we had cheated. They said we had short-sold, which technically isn't cheating, but she still disqualified us from winning the class game and gave us Bs. Now there's a disclaimer before every class that says you'll automatically fail if you short sell. Too long didn't read, we manipulated the stock market in an 8th grade financial literacy class to become virtual trillionaires. Got a B, and now our method is an automatic F. I don't understand what the problem was. It's pretty accurate to real business practices. The fact that your teacher didn't use that as an opportunity to teach you and the rest of the class about short selling and its real-world effects and legalities is frankly a huge knock against your teacher. Like, hey, teach, maybe the game should be about teaching and not winning. Story 27. We were banned from the gym at lunch. Used to go in the gym, shoot hoops, etc. Eventually, we were playing dodgeball with basketballs. Errant throw broke the fire alarm and set it off for the whole school. We had to stay in the cafeteria after that. Story 28. Yogurt eating contests were immediately banned at my school when an overzealous football lineman vomited about a quart of yogurt and then attempted to re-eat the yogurt to win the contest. Domino vomit effect throughout the cafeteria. Story 29. Dark jeans. Their logic was that when we'd stand against the white walls resting against them, the color of the jeans would rub off. Story 30. Google. They wanted to ban Gmail and someone kept finding alternate IPs and domains. Story 31. Earrings on guys. This turned into a huge thing with students doing walkouts and yelling at teachers. It was a really stupid rule and as far as I know was ultimately dropped. My school just banned all jewelry except watches unless it was a small retaining stud in the ear. Dear students, please do not wear anything that might express yourself in any way. You aren't here to become individuals. You are here to be beaten into the drone society wants you to be. Please put on your beige jumpers and get to your learning cubes. Story 32. Trench coats after Columbine. They tried to ban chains and spikes at my school, but that didn't work out so well. Story 33. The Captain Underpants series. Story 34. Cell phones. Someone decided to make an Instagram account consisting solely of adult entertainment with teachers' heads photoshopped onto the porn stars' bodies. I'm only in my 30s and it's crazy how much has changed since I was in high school. One kid printed off a ton of adult entertainment and handed it out in the hallways. That was as high-tech as our adult entertainment incidents ever got. I think maybe 2 kids in my entire school had a cell phone. Ooh, finally someone telling a story that's my age. Story 35. Hair color, colored bras, men with long hair, and nail polish. Was dancing also forbidden? I'm keeping my eyes on you, Kevin Bacon. Story 36. Pens. I'm not joking. Kids would buy somewhat fancy pens and then there would be a bunch of trading. Dude, let me snag that Uniball. I'll give you 2 Pilot G2s. And commotion. I remember there was a kid that everyone envied because of his Mont Blanc pen. Pretty soon, the school just banned using any outside pens and issued 2 of those crappy big round sticks. We were crafty though and started to replace the ink cartridges with those from our fancier pens. So yeah, it was basically Prohibition Pen Edition. Story 37. It was banned to share your Latin set text translations with other people due to the volume of money a few of us made selling versions on the black market. Thanks, Cicero, your pro Callio paid for an iPod. Story 38. Selling candy. Kids would spend their lunch money on gum/candy at Bulk Barn and would pieces for 25 cents each. People at my school did this. The school banned it and it became like a black market. They would go to a corner shop and buy a crapload of soda, candy, and that sort of thing and sell bags of it. Story 39. Had this little Bible study group that would meet during lunch once a week. It grew in size really fast, so some of the parents of the kids started bringing homemade lunches to give to the kids that attended. Anyone was accepted to join. They never ran out of food, and it was free so kids that didn't have money or wasn't on the food plan could eat something other than straight junk food. It was like sandwiches and chips, but still better than the crappy cafeteria food. After a while, though, the group grew a little too big to the point where the school board found out about it and shut down the parents bringing lunches for the attendance because it was lowering the amount of kids buying from the cafeteria. Freaking ridiculous. After that, they instituted a rule that parents couldn't bring lunches to kids anymore. The overall reasoning was it lowered the cafeteria profits. If you didn't have money or a lunch, you were crap out of luck. When it started with a Bible study group, this was not the direction I expected this to go. I was waiting for, and so they banned God. Frankly, that's the kind of story I'm here for. Story 40. Mini sticks. Young Canadians plus tiny hockey sticks equals extreme violence. Story 41. We weren't allowed to yell Kobe anymore. This was mostly because of kids shooting balled-up paper into trash cans and missing terribly. Story 42. Aerosol cans because we would put them in the toilet, set them on fire, and blow the toilet up. Story 43. Talking at lunch. Why? Really, I just don't know. I know I made fun of the school that banned jewelry, but I would like to talk to this school directly. Most prisons allow talking at lunch. You are worse than a prison. Part of the point of school is to learn socializing and all that. You are a bad school. Story 44. KFC, due to one boy constantly bringing it in. He won the biggest fan of KFC award at the end of school. Story 45. My school finally banned the freshman auction after they realized it resembled slavery. Story 46. Carrying backpacks in class 'cause terrorists and crap. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.